Only part of the story is you're becoming the best, most loving, wise, joyful person that you can be and making a contribution, service to others, okay? That's half the story. The other half of the story is you cannot ignore evil. Anybody who ignores evil becomes an accomplice to it.
I've always been a pretty open-hearted person.
He weighs at least 46 pounds now.
I trust myself. I leap into things. But then one day I moved into an ex-commune, became roommates with a woman named Margie, and got lost in her reality. Now I know that, without knowing it, I could become someone I do not recognize. That my mind is much more fragile than I thought. I'm mad about you. You're mad about me. It was 2015. I was 26, and I moved to LA. I wanted to be an actor.
Hey, so when were you gonna tell me about your new friend?
I'm gonna murder you fucker.
So I got a job as a server, a substitute teacher, and signed up for a babysitting website. Hi, my name is Robert. I'm an actor and a teacher, and I love working with kids.
Section blank. You can also be either this. I'm mad about you.
But to build this dream, I needed a cheap place to focus. I saw an ad for a cottage on a former commune in the San Fernando Valley. When I got there, it was more of a shed. There was no bathroom or kitchen, but it was $500 a month, paid in cash to the landlord who lived in the main house.
Its electromagnetic, its aura is resonating with my aura.
Let's call her Margie.
And that tells you this lemon and my body would be very happy to have a date. Okay, now let's see how we fare with a brush polish. Okay, it also, we do not get a match here. It says, don't drink the brass polish.
I took the shed.
Yeah.
But I didn't just want to be an actor. I wanted to create beauty. I wanted to make my own art. So I made some YouTube videos and a buddy comedy web series.
Let me have it. What the? Let me have it.
About fermentation.
This one, you can do one.
I got really into it.
Some California sage.
Rub it together.
As I made plans filled with delusions of grandeur. This place and this woman started to capture me. Margie was desperate to hold on to the property and preserve its fading beauty, even though she could barely pay her bills. She even wrapped a boombox in a trash bag and put it in the crystal garden so that there was an eternal ohm playing 24/7. She'd been the center of a spiritual community here for many years, opening her home to anyone. And she still retained this tremendously generous spirit. But she never left the house. And she possessed an ever-present paranoia. A staunch belief that everything you thought you knew is a lie. And as the 2016 presidential primaries began, every night from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., she researched, while listening to a radio host whose voice I didn't recognize.
To watch fake news in action. I mean, this is how you murder the truth.
There is an elite group that control the world. Most have no idea that they are under their spell.
The American dream is dead. But if I get elected president,
And she seemed to want something from me.
I will bring it back.
And I was a little afraid of what that was. But I had just bought my first camera, so I asked if I could interview her.
Cottages, kitchen, sauna room, take 3.
At one point, my husband ended up giving me this MDA tablet. And I'm up on this big hill or something. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, came this incredible, love and divinity. And you could have asked me any question in the world then, I could have given you the answer. It's like some whole new world had opened up to me. Completely. Everything changed in my universe from being this pain in the ass left brain atheist to being a kind of a spiritual junkie. And I got really interested in everything spiritual. I read every book I could get my hands on and went to all the seminars and all the groups and all the meditation stuff and listened to all the channeling. Part of the beginning of this property is related to that mentality because it's called the Heaven on Earth Foundation, and we're going to make this space that's beautiful and really safe and really peaceful. In the beginning, we gave workshops here and meditation circles and all that kind of stuff. And there was even a point where I used to go around with my little wand and I'd call an angel. We had all kinds of spiritual events that would happen.
Meanwhile, I did get cast in some films. I had doubts about these projects, but Margie was always super supportive.
You're doing just what you're supposed to be doing. You're doing your skills, you're learning how to do things, you're honing up your gift to give to the world.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
But my fermentation web series was not going well.
Experiment with what I said. Find or what's wrong. Go to bed. Go to fucking bed! And then, essentially, you just hang it from wherever you want.
I got fired from my restaurant job for losing 2 customers' credit cards.
I don't know where it is, but it's gone.
And I got kicked off that babysitting website.
I'm a hard worker. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy preparing healthy meals.
Because they found out I had a misdemeanor for drinking in public. So I worked 60 hours a week doing odd jobs to pay off my credit card debt from the web series. I drove models around in a Sprinter van, shot a hip-hop producer's 40th birthday, cleaned out a dead guy's house. I would come home and Margie would always be there.
You looking at me? The sexy kitchen queen? Alright, I'll be out of your way in a minute. There's gonna be a little ice cream and then you can play.
What kind of ice cream did you get?
Well, I got pistachio. Oh, we went to get chocolate. They didn't have it. So I got pistachio. I had everything that supposedly would be the American dream. I had a PhD. I had a private practice. I had a husband. I had a child. And I had a house. And then a big O shit happened.
What happens next in Margie's past is pretty dark and tragic. Out of respect for her children, I've left it out.
Well, my whole world came to an end. That, of course, turned into a divorce, and there was all kinds of court shit about it. I was depressed that this horrible thing had happened, and I was depressed that what I thought was the love of my life wasn't anything like what I thought. It just took about 10 years to pretty much heal. What really bothered me was I had been nutsy cuckoo in love with him. How did I not see this? So I had to really examine myself to see what else I wasn't seeing. I mean, I wasn't paying any attention to evil in the world at all. What have I been in denial about? What have I been burying my head in the sand about? What started to happen was things started to happen in this country. Now, I didn't quite completely catch on to 9/11, but I did catch on to Katrina. When my country, my government could not get food and water to people for 4 days, there is something really awful going on here. And I kind of ran into a rat's nest.
Take the red pill. You go down the rabbit hole and I'll show you how far it goes.
There's a contingency of people who would really like to create a one-world government. And I discovered all these devious ways in which they're doing it. They can tell any tall tale they want to tell you on CNN or the New York Times, and nobody can be prosecuted for it. It's legal to do that. Now they have all these radical Islamic migrants, which they're shuffling by the hundreds of thousands into countries in Europe.
So don't ever think the globalists that have hijacked this country wouldn't stage something like this. They kill little kids.
They're staged events designed for a political agenda. You know who Britney Spears is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is a mind-controlled slave.
Mind control, too. MK Ultra mind control.
So she's talking to Diane Sawyer about her breakup with Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Ah, weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew. Strong Britney.
The programming starts to break down.
The programming? What do you mean?
The mind control. Okay, like remember I told you what they do is they split your personality and they create different personalities in you. They're called alters.
Okay.
Think of it this way. I guess they've created this multi-personality robot out of this people.
Margie's ideas sound unbelievable to me now. But the truth is that at the time, I was stuck in my own kind of delusion. The only way I figured out how to escape my reality was to pretend to be the star of it, as if it was all in service of a great movie that I would one day make of this mess. Opening scene of Bob Stole Acid, Bob Dies. The title montage of Driving. Life was hard, he was tired, well everyone hated him. Now the way that he died, gorged on too much food by himself. He was by himself, he was completely alone. To get out my gun. I'm lonely and shit. I feel like I have no friends here. I don't know what. I want to eat a nice meal. I just want to go on a date. I don't know what. I feel very pissed off. Hanging out on the property with Margie was the only place in this city that I didn't feel embarrassed of myself.
By the way, do you remember what happened that television fell over? I had it propped up on a foam thing. It fell on the ground, and I think the connection came out of the wall.
So if I'm pulling, am I pulling it back?
I can't see the
impression that
Here,
You want to just press on that thing?
should I just bring my computer?
But as the 2016 election came closer, Margie was getting much more intense with me. She cornered me night after night to convince me of her theories.
You have to be disconnected to do that shit. You have to be totally self-obsessed, totally selfish.
But why? But then, why deal with them all the time? I've been living here for a year, right? And I feel like every time we have a conversation, like we'll talk about normal things like for a little while, and then you'll turn the conversation toward like a sort of super dark situation. Do you know what I mean? Like and understanding it and teaching me about it and stuff like that, which I appreciate. But I also but I also feel like it happens like every time. Sometimes I struggle to understand, like, well, why does she want to be in that world so deeply? Do you know what I mean?
The answer? Because I think it's my mission to wake people up. I have to know what I'm talking about. In other words, see, what I would say about you is you're a really loving guy and you're a little bit awake. But you don't need to be as awake as me, but you need to be at least enough awake that you wouldn't vote for Hillary. And if you're even that awake, you're contributing to the solution and not the problem. So my goal is to know enough about what I'm talking about so I can get people at least mildly awake so they're not voting in more criminals to make the problem worse. And I consider it as part of my mission to do that. I mean, it's an ugly job, but somebody's got to do it. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of people that have opened up to love and they're starting to see themselves as spiritual beings, but I don't want them eaten up by the wolves.
Yeah.
So as long as you know, you got to look over your shoulder sometimes, not all the time. As long as you know there's an enemy there.
I'd been politely pretending to agree with this person for months. But all that pretending and isolation made me start to half believe the things she said. As I looked back on her life, I realized that this person had not been so different than I am. Deeply passionate, maybe a little too naive. And now, I could feel myself becoming like her, developing tendencies that she was completely consumed by, even though I had suffered much less in my life. Both of us hiding in realities we had created. And it scared the shit out of me. I made up an excuse for why I had to move. She was a little shocked, but happy for me.
I certify you now streetwise.
Well, thank you so much for...
Part of me felt bad for leaving her. I knew maybe I gave her some sense of purpose. I lied and told her I would come back and visit. I got a house with some friends in the center of LA. I met new people. I got new opportunities.
This is Dad's stuff.
Found love. My life returned to normal in a way. Almost as if the time before had never happened. But I couldn't help but think about Margie.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
For 3 years I drove by her house and wanted to go in, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I think I was afraid of her in that place, or rather the person I turned into when I lived there. But one day in October of 2019, I finally decided to visit.
This is really crazy. Okay, I can do it. How are your daughters doing? They doing good?
They're doing okay.
Yeah? Yeah.
She felt like a stranger. But once we had some wine, we started to slip back into our old selves.
You know?
Right.
Like sometimes they're...
So did the Sacred Garden look okay?
It did.
I haven't really been outside for a while because I'm terrified of falling. So I fell completely out the back door one time. Because you have to get your mind out of the way. You have to completely blank your mind.
We talked about relationships, euthanasia, what she'll be reincarnated as next.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't it? You know, I mean, the things I know for sure, love exists, right? It's not a random universe.
That desire to impart something to me was gone, and I think she just wanted to talk.
Such a full life.
I lived an interesting life. I really did. I mean, I actually would have to say that I actually think my work is done. I mean, I was who I was my whole life and helped everybody I could my whole life. And some people spectacularly, some people a little bit. And so I don't really feel like there's anything really undone, which is nice.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, old age is not for sissies.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you look like you're doing pretty well. I remember when you had that cough before.
I haven't had a stroke and I haven't had a heart attack. I can say that. I have 10
1 week after I saw her, she passed away from a heart attack. The lesson Margie tried to pass on to me had nothing to do with conspiracy theories. I think it was more about coming to terms with the exquisite beauty and terrible darkness in others and in yourself. To not hide from the tragedies that will show up. And the daily effort to hold on to your love while facing the darkness within you.